And then I think we are heading on to the final session of this workshop, which is a panel discussion on the topic to promote the green hydrogen cooperation between Northern Germany and South Korea. So for this session, we have invited two experts in trade and investment between the two regions, Mr. Yoon from KOTRA and Mr. Mats from Hamburg Invest. So good afternoon, Mr. Yoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Mats. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to start with an introduction of your organizations, perhaps?
Should I start or?
Please, Mr. Yoon, you start first. Yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Hyunchul Yoon, and my name is a little bit difficult to pronounce, I know that. I'm director of KOTRA Hamburg since August last year. My office is representing since 1972 in Hamburg for bilateral trade and investment promotion. What we are doing is actually taking care of delegations, supporting Korean startups, B2B e-commerce supporting, and several Korean pavilions at famous German exhibitions like Hannover Messe, SMM, InnoTrans, and EMO. And what we are planning is to participate as a Korean pavilion next year in Bremen for the hydrogen messe. That's what we are planning. Thank you.
Yeah, then I'm taking over. Thank you very much. Thank you also, Consulate General Yoon, also Ms. Kim. Thank you for inviting me to join this session today. I hope everybody can understand me and see me. You're actually catching me in Bremen, where the Hydrogen Congress is held this year. And we are hosting, or we are having a stand over here where we have joined as the 5 countries from Northern Germany. Our label is High Five. And I think, Mr. Yoon, we will see each other tomorrow on our booth, so we can talk in detail. Yeah. It's my pleasure, as I said, to be joining. I'm in charge of the international section of the Hamburg Invest agency. My name is Stefan Matz. What I'm trying is basically very simple. I'm trying to convince companies from, in general, all over the world to understand that Hamburg might be a good place to put up some investment, to set up a subsidiary, to open a branch office. And the Far East in total is very important to us. South Korea is very important. I'm very happy about the things we just learned before about the very ambitious and very widely done projects that you're doing in several provinces. Also what we heard from Mr. Grassmann, that Hyundai is doing so much. I knew something, and I know I talked to a colleague of yours, Ms. Lee, who is with Hyundai Cradle in Berlin. She told me something about the projects going on. And I also learned that you are already in touch with Northern Germany, but if there is anything we can do for you to get you in touch with players in the, let's say, Northern German vicinity, most welcome. So I highly appreciate that we can exchange. And I think there is plenty of room for cooperation between our two countries or regions.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Mr. Mats and Mr. Yoon. So this will be a panel discussion for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'd be happy to moderate this session by maybe giving you some cues for further discussions. And we are always open to other feedbacks and some additional questions for the panelists we have. And maybe I could begin with a cue for Mr. Mats, if he's available. Yep. So after the presentations we had, I have an impression that Northern Germany has a relative advantage in building an upstream value chain in green hydrogen. And on the contrary, South Korea seems to have an advantage in downstream application, especially the development of hydrogen vehicles and fuel cell batteries. And as your point of view in investment, how would you expect these Korean businesses to cooperate within the value chain in Northern Germany? Do you have they would have enough chances to enter the German market?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I'm sorry, I just had to get off my position because I had to close the window. There was noise coming in from outside. I think that there is huge opportunity for cooperation. I think we heard about some ongoing projects that have been introduced that already show international, national, European, global cooperation projects with very different players from around the globe. In Germany, we do not have a policy to promote, let's say, with special incentive towards foreign investors. On the other hand, we are also not protecting local investors against foreign investors or participants or companies being involved in projects. So I think if the right technology is there, I think if the let's say the knowledge about matching partners, and this is I think what it's mainly about, that you have to set up groups, consortia, where you find, let's say, not the competitors, but those who are complementary in addition to what you're doing, and to go down the value chain to analyze where is the need that is not yet covered or where your product is competitive. So I think that there is a huge ability for Korean companies to play a major role also in Northern German projects.
And I think this should be a good occasion for me to head on to my question for Mr. Yoon. And I think, Mr. Yoon, you might have some information on the companies who wish to enter the German green hydrogen market for further collaboration or investment. And I have heard that you are planning an event for this issue next month. I heard it of as a Korea Hydrogen Technology Pitch Day. Would you briefly tell us about your event?
Yes, actually, our KOTRA is seeing in 4 sections of high potential cooperations. I think first of all is mobility and storage and transportation, and also hydrogen components like fuel cell systems or valves, pipes, etc. And between 2 countries, I think there is the focus is a little bit different. The Germans are focusing on generating green energy, green hydrogen. And in case of South Korea, we are focusing on the utility of the mobility and the fuel cell systems. So, but what I do think is there is a little bit, we don't know each other. So that's last year when I came in to Hamburg, the first thing.
Ist alles okay, vielen Dank.
Yeah. As you know, the first thing was to send some kind of delegations to Germany to know each other, but due to the pandemic situation, it was delayed. But anyhow, I would like to start with the online pitching day on the 25th of November with 10 Korean small, medium-sized companies and a little bit big companies also. As you probably know, and as General Counsel Mr. Jung told us that South Korea just announced the agenda 2044 hydrogen economy. After the agenda is by 2040, 6.2 million hydrogen cars will be produced, and also 1,200 hydrogen fuel stations will be built. Also, 15 gigawatt electricity will be generated with gray and green hydrogen. Also, the other plan is 1 million tons of liquid hydrogen will be produced annually. That's a very high ambitious goal. To achieve this, we are trying to open the door. That's our plan. There will be, as I mentioned, 10 Korean hydrogen companies presenting each other online, 5 to 8 minutes, video presentations of their products and technology, and the Q&A and individual online meetings will follow on the 25th of November. And what we are planning is that this won't be a one-time event. So I'm going to discuss with Mr. Mats tomorrow. So if there is any sustainable cooperation between 2 countries, that's what we are planning. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And,
may I add something to that? Is it possible to add something to Mr. Yoon's comment?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to going into more details tomorrow. And maybe I like to announce that we will have a hydrogen conference that we are doing next year in September in Hamburg. That will be a part of our wind energy show. The wind energy, which is held every other year in Hamburg, next time in September 2022, will have a special section for hydrogen. Maybe a special, let's say, a separate exhibition product will be generated out of that, but it will be first time. And we are still working on further shows that might even come earlier next year.
That is a very exciting piece of information.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to attending the conference in September next year. And yes, we plan to see each other in the Hamburg Messe as well. And could you also, when that time comes, you can also invite some Korean officials like we have now. You can send invitations to Mr. Koo and Dr. Yu and some
Definitely.
other parts of our country as well. And since Mr. Yoon rightly mentioned about our renewal in NDC targets, I might turn to some recent developments in the energy market as well. So we are facing a backdrop of rising fuel prices at the moment in Europe and in the global scale as well. And some say that we are also witnessing a kind of backlash against the renewables. And some people argue that we should not try to rely on renewable energy because it may not quickly adjust to increased demands of people and the industry. And would you, Mr. Yoon and Mr. Mats, would you say this will be a challenge for green hydrogen industry in Northern Germany and South Korea?
Yes, it is very challenging. South Korea is consuming annually 296 million tons of oil and ranks 7th most energy consuming country in the world. As Germany is, as I do know, ranked 6th, a little bit more than South Korea, but compared to the population and the land, it is a very huge consumption of energy. But as Senator Michael Beshageman told, renewable energy is not an option anymore, but it have to do due to the worldwide climate change. Just days ago, South Korean government decided to cut down 40% of greenhouse gas emission by 2030, which is quite challenging for people in South Korea and the industry. But environmental friendly energy is one of the key factors in South Korea, like in Germany. Even though South Korea's strong growth in mobility, heavy industry, and the IT sectors in recent years, our country's energy efficiency is still very low. So our government and the companies and the industry are trying to promote the efficiency, also trying to find new technology for green hydrogen and also renewable energy. That's what we are trying to do.
Maybe to add on that, you know that the German standards that we like to comply with in terms of reduction of CO2 emission are extremely high, also in international comparison. And if I again compare the Northern German goals that we are facing, it's even higher. So we are trying to do everything to use more and more renewable energy and to have less and less CO2 emission. What we see at the moment, I think diesel is at an all-time high. Diesel fuel has never been as expensive in Germany, at least, and I think in many neighboring countries as well, as it is at the moment. What I see also is that hydrogen, in certain aspects, it's a chicken or the egg question. So are you going to operate hydrogen trucks? Yes, you probably might be if there is enough fueling stations. So are you building the fueling stations first, or are you first encouraging people to build and to use hydrogen trucks? So that must go in line. And I think everybody who is in that industry understood that. So I think there is a real hype and a serious hype. It's not a hype just by promoting things. It's a hype that is really existing. And I think it also goes very much in line with the people's higher and steadily increasing concern about emissions and their requirements also and also their realization that something has to be done, that it is not yet too late, but it must be done now.
Thank you very much for your insights. So yes, it really is a chicken or egg question, but I think everybody knows the answer, that we cannot go without the renewables and of course the green hydrogen we have these days. And could you maybe provide some guidance or recommendation for potential Korean investors in Northern Germany and maybe North German investors in Korea who wish to form a partnership with their counterparts in the hydrogen sector? Would the regulation be a barrier for their investment and cooperation?
Shall I start, Mr. Yoon, with the view into Germany, and then you take the other side? I think the most important thing is that you have networks. That refers to almost everything you're doing. You must know the right people. You must know the regulations. You must know the legal side. You must know the taxation side. You must understand about regulations related to building requirements and so on. So what I can just recommend is get in touch with us, Hamburg Invest. We are a public-private partnership. We are very close to the Hamburg government, but we are organized as a German company. So I myself, together with my team and my colleagues, and also in very close cooperation with, for example, the cluster, we saw Jan Rispens, who was moderating the first session. Jan, who is the managing director of the cluster Renewable Energy, where hydrogen is also playing a more and more important role, is not only in close touch with us, he is actually on the same floor in our building. So we are door to door. And of course, also other players, whoever is needed to understand where is my requirement and where's my possibility. Most welcome. Our service is free of charge and of course, strictly confidential. So whoever likes to get in touch with us, most welcome.
Yes, as Mr. Matz mentioned, that the networking is the very first step, and it is one of the most important thing, I think. What we do have is we have around 200 Korean companies and institutions concerning the hydrogen industry in South Korea. So don't hesitate to contact us. And we have, I'd like to mention that it's my 5th stay in Germany. I stayed in Germany altogether more than 15 years. Mm-hmm. So with the communication, there is no any obstacles there. So,
not at all.
So speaking German is not a problem. So also in English, we have so my team has 2 specialists for hydrogen industry, Mr. Hastig and Mr. Che. So we can help you in any ways, in investment, finding partners in South Korea. Also, we are trying to find right Korean companies to invest in Germany also. That's what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your insights and information. I think if you have anything else to add, please go on, or I think we are ending towards the close of the workshop, if there is no other comments at the moment. So thank you again, Mr. Yoon and Mr. Matz. What I'll do is I'll include your contact information in the follow-up email to this workshop. So please, participants, feel free to contact them with your business ideas and others.
One sentence, if I may add one sentence at that stage. So if you provide our contact details and if you as the participants and being interested in more information about Northern Germany in terms of energy projects, in terms of hydrogen, I will be very willing to send you a presentation and also, of course, get into a personal cooperation.
That is excellent. Thank you so much. So I think we are heading towards the end of the workshop, and I'm very proud again because we are sticking to our time schedule, not too far. So I hope you have enjoyed it and found some necessary information. Just a few more housekeeping issues before I close the workshop. We will have a 5-question exit survey that will come up after this workshop. So please take a moment to fill that out because we care about your opinion. And please look for our follow-up email in a few days because we will provide you with a link to the presentation materials. I know that many of you have asked me to share this information, the presentation, so we'll be happy to share it with you, but only within a limited amount of time. And then we will also send you our exit survey for those who didn't have the chance to participate already. And also we will include the contact points for speakers and panelists today in this follow-up email. Now you're looking at the screen again for our contact information. We are the Korean Consulate General in Hamburg. You are able to reach us by this email address and you are free to send us questions and feedbacks about this event. Again, you can find us on YouTube using these keywords. We will be happy to share our clips of today's event in the very near future. And you are also welcome to visit our website. And now I think we are up to closing the event. And I think some of you might have some, yes, some of you might have some words to add to the presentations. I have Mr. Veshageman and Mr. Young. Mr. Veshageman, would you like to speak first?
First of all, I would say thank you very much to all panelists. Thank you very much for the excellent moderation, Mrs. Kim. It was beautiful and excellent. And my personal feeling is that we are very, very close together in the direction what we have to do if we want to develop green hydrogen and also a new business market. We have to scale up worldwide green hydrogen, also the renewable energies. They are really important. Mr. Gu, next time I show you, if you are coming to Hamburg, I'll show you our port, our harbor, and why it's so important to decarbonize our harbor, why we are the middle in the city. And I'm really happy, Mr. Consul General Jung, that you set up this conference. I would say thank you very much to everybody. Hopefully we see us in Hamburg next time. And if not, I will come over to Korea. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome.
Okay, I would like to also make a very brief last comment. Well, thank you very much for everybody coming here and putting together your ideas and your wonderful wisdom together with us. And well, as Mr. Mats pointed out, hydrogen industry requires public-private partnership. We need to know to identify the right person, and we need to know the requirement, regulation, everything. That is why we invited all the important key players from both sides, putting ideas together. So probably we will have a next round of good exchange, the session on this topic. Just for your information, last week, the mayor of Gangneung City also came over here, and he also showed great interest. So there is a huge demand, huge ideas from both sides. Okay, thank you very much once again, everybody, for taking part in this seminar, and also thank you, Jiyoung, for moderating this workshop excellently. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. And I think this really concludes our workshop today. Again, we really appreciate your being with us today, and we wish you a great day, a great evening. Thank you so much. 감사합니다.
Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Bye bye.
Bleiben Sie
Ciao.
gesund.